Eyewitness News. Coming to you live from our studio here in Accra, and this is Point Blank. Tonight, my guest is Osman Yarega. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority. The Youth Authority is celebrating the Youth Month across the country and across the month of August. We'll talk about youth-targeted policies and what the administration of John Dramani Mahama is doing to more or less mitigate the plight of the Ghanaian youth. Osman, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening to you.
Good to see you again.
Good evening. Thank you very much, my brother. Good evening to you, Sami Biafe, the lovely crew of is it not it's ChannelOne or
CTFM?
Sorry, CTFM and ChannelOne. Pardon me for the mistake. And good evening to your cherished listeners and to those who will be viewing across the country and online.
Thank you very much.
Especially to the youth of this country. Good evening to you. And I know the youth of this country are experiencing and following and enjoying the reset agenda by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Definitely. Osman, tell us, been in office how many months now?
I can say we've been in office for the past 6 or 7 months.
Okay.
Right? Yes, and so far we all are experiencing the reset agenda of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Key amongst them is the fact that he has been stayed very loyal to his word and he has shown true fidelity to his promise. Most especially, you remember on the 12th of August last year, 2024, we launched the first ever what we call the Youth Manifesto.
Yeah.
When we launched the Youth Manifesto, the president made some solemn promises to the youth of this country. One was that he was going to set up a ministry that was solely responsible for youth development and empowerment. Hitherto, what we had was the fact that you had a ministry in charge of youth and sports. And even the youth and sports, we all knew, I mean, without any form of equivocation, we all knew that the emphasis was on sports. And even in sports, it was football. And even football, it was just Black Stars. And even Black Stars, it was about the coach. So, I mean, not to denigrate anyone's administration, whether the GFA, whatever, but I mean, that has always been the narrative. So you realize that issues of youth development and empowerment was relegated to the back. And people felt that once we were investing in sports, it meant that automatically we're investing in the youth. Investing in sports is just a fraction of the activities that the youth are interested in. Because there are some youth who are interested in sports, some are interested in creative arts, some are interested in education, some are interested in leadership, so many things that the youth have interest in. And aside from what the youth are interested in, what government should also be interested in is the welfare of the youth. One, talking about their mental health, talking about their well-being, their development. Because once the youth leaves the four walls of an institution or a classroom, then he becomes the responsibility of the National Youth Authority to make sure that you have become a very responsible citizen of society. You are imbued with the spirit of patriotism. You are imbued with the spirit of loving your nation, nation building, and be able to make yourself very profitable to this country. So that was why His Excellency thought it wise that we needed a ministry for youth development and empowerment. So first ever, His Excellency created a Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment. Honorable Lawyer George Opari Ado is made a Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment. And so far we have, with the support of my minister and all the agencies under his ministry, we have, I can say we've performed remarkably well under this new ministry, and His Excellency has not regretted creating the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment. Now, key amongst the programs that are being rolled out by this ministry, we are currently rolling out 2 flagship programs by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. First is the National Apprenticeship Program, which is being rolled out by the National Youth Authority, and this seeks to train 10,000 youth of Ghana who are not in any form of, some people we have what we call employed and unemployed youth. Now, even within the unemployed youth, we have those who are further vulnerable, and that's what we call not in employment, not in education, not in training.
Okay.
Meaning that as for you, you are there. You there inside. Nothing they work for you. So these are the sect of people that the National Apprenticeship Program is seeking to equip them with necessary skills. Because if a company is looking for someone, they'll be looking for someone with some sort of a training or some skill. That's if you don't have an education. At least you should have a skill. But most of the time, we're all looking at graduate unemployment, because they are the loudest in the room. Because they are graduates and they are unemployed, they are able to speak for themselves, they are able to be on social media to rant. So most of the time, we don't really pay so much attention to our brothers and sisters who are not in any form of education, not in any form of training, not in any form of employment. And that is where we plug into. And data shows that any group of 10 people in every classroom, where you have 10 people that start primary school, only 3 make it to university. Yes. Even though data is continuous, is beginning to change, the system is beginning to change because of education. But when some of us started school in primary 1, so I mean that out of every 10 people I sat in the same classroom with, only 3 of us made it to university. So where is the other 7? They belong to the group of the NEET, not in employment, not in education, not in training. So the National Apprenticeship Program seeks to train many young people in various skill sets, talking about from carpentry to fabrication, to hairdressing, to fashion and beauty, etc., etc., depending on where you seek or you find interest in. Now, this is a program that seeks to train you from the beginning to the end. It gives you stipends, it pays for you, and when you're living, it gives you some startup.
Okay.
To start yourself up, whether you want to go into entrepreneurship or you want to go into industry or you want to go into cooperatives, all that is factored in. Another very important program that His Excellency is rolling out under the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment is the Ejumerua project, and this seeks to call on many young people who want to go into one form of entrepreneurship or the other. And most of the time, most of the businesses that we call startups don't really have that stimulus pack to help them move to another level. It's just in recent times that some banks are trying as much as possible to have some startup component to support many young people. Other than that, hitherto, once you start, they say, oh, we don't lend to startups, you just need to run your accounts for 2-3 years. Who should help that startup to run his account for 2-3 years? In your bank, for you to now support. So His Excellency is saying that we need to support many young people, so that among these young people we'll be able to create the likes of Bill Gates, will be able to create the likes of Elon Musk, the likes of Dangote, the likes of Ibrahim Muhammad, etc., etc. These are what we're seeking to do. So under the Ejumera program, they are training 10,000 people, but out of the 10,000, 2,000 currently will be given the stimulus pack between 50,000 cities onwards. It is not alone.
But is it for the entire program or for a period of time?
No, it's the program is for you. So under the program, you'll be going through some incubation and training. So when you're done and you do the pitch, and you realize that this is a good pitch, then you're given the money to push the business. So you just start with an idea, and you're able to go through that idea, explain the idea, have that pitch. If the pitch people, I mean, there'll be businessmen to listen to the pitch, very good experts to know this is a good idea, that is not a good idea. Quite apart from that money, that stimulus pack that will be given to you, the likes of venture capital and some other development partners or some agencies are also partnering to see how they can go into some agreement with you to help expand the business. Some may actually go into equity, some may go into shares, some may actually give you the stimulus pack. So depending on how you pitch your ideas. So because we're looking at creating the next batch of billionaires and millionaires, just beyond, I mean, people leaving the 4 walls of university and having to hold a brown envelope with an application, DSA, application for job. I'm able to multitask. I work under pressure. I'm able to do this, you know. So His Excellency is seeking to make sure that many young people are able to grow. Quite apart from that, another initiative that is being rolled out, but not under the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment, is the 1 Million Coders program. This is to help many young people to explore their talents so far as coding is concerned, as far as computer literacy is concerned, cyber security, etc. So we realize that there's so many programs that have been put together to make sure that many young people are able to acquire jobs or make themselves employable, actually be themselves employers of society. And that is what the ministry is currently coordinating from ministry to ministry. So even though we sit at the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment, there are other ministries that are doing programs that are youth biased that we now plug into it, and there's that collaboration, because governance in itself it's a collaboration and not a competition amongst ministers. So we realize that currently, I think tomorrow they're going to launch the program for small scale miners, and that involves a lot of youth, a lot of young people. So you know that this is where we are plugging into. Remember, not too far distant past, we launched the Blue Water Guard system. All that includes and involves the youth. So clearly, this is a government that is doing well so far as the youth is concerned, and so far as we developing the youth is concerned. And there's no other person we can thank than His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for staying true to his word, for making sure that he adheres to whatever he says, making sure that he is able to fulfill the promises he makes. It wasn't just a campaign. And you know, Sammy, what actually gladdens us is the fact that after the NDC won, His Excellency said, I was reducing the number of ministers to 60. So we were now wondering, if you're going to reduce it to 60, are you sure we're still going to get
the ministry
our youth, the new ministry you promised? Because so we were quite worried. I mean, to be very honest, we were worried. Hey, the 60 ministers, will we still feature under the Ministry of Youth? Because this was a serious promise we made. Then, lo and behold, I think it was number 18 or so, Ministry of Youth Development. We knew that, yes, this is a man of his word. This is a man who keeps to his word. This is a man that when he tells you something, you can use it as currency to buy whatever you want to buy, because he will hold himself to what he says.
In as much as, the president has brought about youth-centered, programs to mitigate the plight of the Ghanaian youth, there's something which is also worrying the Ghanaian youth, which has to do with abuse of drugs. I know your outfit, in collaboration with your sector ministry, has come up with something you call Red Meat Stop. What exactly is this policy or program or initiative?
Yes, thank you very much. As we said, beyond job creation, some people think that when we talk about youth, it's all about job creation. No, beyond job creation, you need to look at the total well-being of the youth. You need to look at the mental health of the youth, because mind you, you can find a job for a young man. If the person falls prey to substance abuse, excuse my language, that job you found for the young man is useless. And I have a difficulty in believing people when they say because there's unemployment, then it means that it's breeding addiction or substance abuse. That is entirely wrong, because data has also shown where we've seen millionaires, multi-millionaires, where we've seen celebrities, where we've seen people who are businessmen working abuse drugs. So let's not always use unemployment or, excuse my language, poverty as an excuse to do wrong. So I mean, for substance abuse, it doesn't matter whether you are employed or unemployed, because someone can be employed, he's going through some pressure in the office, and so he says, let's just try this to calm the pressure down. You take it, and by the time you realize you're on the free fall. So issues of substance abuse is something that is actually on the rise, and some research was done up north. I don't want to mention the region or the secondary schools, and this has actually permeated way down to the junior high level schools. Yes. Now, this data was done in the senior high schools, and the research for some 10 senior high schools, and from the research, out of every 10 students in the schools, in the senior high schools, at least 6 of them have tried one substance or the other. 6 out of 10 young people have tried one substance or the other. And you realize that this cuts across. When you go into the universities, it is even more. And sometimes some even take it without knowing, and the feeling, sometimes they feel like, okay, I think I need to try again and see. So all these parties, all these drinks, sometimes people are they even infuse it without people knowing, concoctions and the rest. So, and I mean, in one way or the other, they try to convince you that it's just to help you release tension. Some also say it's for enhancement, sexual enhancement. Some to tell you that taking it to become stronger, to work, especially those who work on construction sites, etc., etc. They just say that we take it because we need extra strength, and by the time we realize, they become addicts. Now, this has become a very serious issue, and somewhere in March we collaborated with all agencies, the Ministry of Interior, Customs Division, NACOP, CID, all the agencies that matter, because you see, there is the availability of the drugs and there's a consumption of the drugs. One, if it's not available, they will not consume it, and if it's not available, they will not even try it. So we need to cut it from the entry point, and that has to do with customs service. So we've been collaborating with them, we've been collaborating with NACOP to see how we can stop it. Now, beyond the entry point, now we need to look at its distribution, and that is Ghana Police. We've been collaborating with the Ghana Police to clamp down on some areas. Some communities themselves have formed their own task force to start arresting people. But unfortunately, beyond just the citizens arrest, sometimes they actually try to lynch them or molest them, and that is not really the case. I cannot support such actions. I can support citizens arrest and hand them over to police. I cannot support you lynching them. So currently we are also in talks with the Ministry of Education to go down into the various senior high schools, see how we can take that sensitization tour to the senior high schools for some people to see firsthand, experience what it means and the effects thereafter, because some people don't really know how it's going to end up when they take it. So when they have the videos, when they see the audios, they see the real effect on what is happening in society, then they can put a stop to it. So there's the campaign against substance abuse, which we started, Red Means Stop. Now, beyond the campaign, you also need to look at those who are already addicted, the rehabilitation process. So as part of the rehabilitation process, we're working with other counseling agencies, some psychologists, to see how we can rehabilitate them. And after they've been rehabilitated, we also need to look at the social cohesion. How do they come back to society? Then we're looking at how we can train them under the apprenticeship program, so that at least they can find themselves busy with some work, so that they can easily cohabit with people or their families back in society. So there's a whole comprehensive plan as to how we're stopping this red. It's not just about red, but I mean, they come in different colors, but currently red is the most popular drug out there. So when we say Red Means Stop, it's not only red we are stopping. We're talking about tramadol, we're talking about kush, we're talking about trophinodol.
The red looks like the one most abused by the youth.
Yes, it looks most.
A lot of people.
Yeah, that's what we call it.
Concentration.
The red. Yes, but I mean, it's just a nomenclature.
Yeah.
When we say the red, it's not just only red. So all sorts of substance. Some people even make super glue with some energy drinks and some cough syrup. Just to mix it, just to get high. So all of those things are part of the things we are actually fighting against. In fact, as part of the Red Means Stop campaign and as part of the National Youth Festival in the Youth Month, which is this month of August. On the 16th of August, we're supposed to have a nationwide walk at all regional capitals on the Red Means Stop campaign. So the regional ministers, we're writing to them to lead most of the walks in the various regions on this substance abuse or Red Means Stop campaign. That will be on the 16th on the Saturday. That's next week. Saturday. See how we can stop it, for it to be a nationwide campaign. It's not just about NYA or just about you, but it's about everyone. You may think that, well, your direct family member or your immediate family member is not into substance abuse, but if you are in that traffic or you stopped at the traffic light and an addict decides to pull out a gun or something and hit you and attack you, then you know that what you need is a healthy society, and not just you living in your house with a very tall fence and a barbed wire. So you need to be interested in your surroundings, not only in your home, but even on the streets, where you work, where you live, how you cohabit with people. So it's a clarion call. And I also want to call on the clergy that, I mean, beyond preaching salvation, beyond preaching prosperity, beyond preaching people to love the church, we need to also preach for people to love their country, people to be patriotic, and people to stay away from substance abuse. Because you see, the church is one place where most people actually listen to sermon, they love their religious leaders, they do whatever they tell them to do. So I am pleading with them that beyond salvation, beyond prosperity, we need, because you see, you can preach all the salvation and all the prosperity. If half of your church members or the mosque members are addicts, it obviously invariably affects you. On Friday we were with the chief imam, and he also spoke extensively against substance abuse to the youth of this country. We had a religious engagement, myself and the Minister for Youth Development. On Saturday, the 2nd of August, we did a nationwide cleanup exercise. I was at around Lekma with the minister. On Sunday, again, we're in church to speak to young people on substance abuse. We've written to the Christian Council to make sure this month of August, at least, most of the churches preach on the youth development, on patriotism for your country, love for your country, and against substance abuse. So we're still moving on from the 10th to the 12th of August, we're having the National Youth Conference in Kumasi at the KNUSC Great Hall Auditorium, where we'll have various conversations beyond the main program.
Yeah.
We'll have various plenary discussions, we'll have various panel discussions on issues that affect the youth. Because at the end of the day, it's those conversations we're going to put together and be able to put a report to know how we can put together the youth report to present to His Excellency the President. Then on the 20th or 21st of August, again, we have what's called a stakeholder engagement meeting that will involve young parliamentarians, young MPs, anybody who is doing anything that affects the youth. You all are stakeholders, so you'll be called upon for us to have a conversation on issues that affect the youth and how we all can manifestly help in developing the youth. Now, beyond that, we will have the youth seminar on climate change and environmental sustainability. Today, issues of environmental degradation, issues of galamsey is very topical, and City FM and ChannelOne has been one of the key frontrunners as far as environmental sustainability and climate change is concerned. So we'll have that conversation. You obviously be needed there to have that serious conversation. Beyond that, there's a saying that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. You see, in all of these conferences, you'll be speaking to different groups of youth. Now, there's another huge margin or group of the youth that believe that you can only speak to them through entertainment. So at the end of the month, 29th to 30th, we'll have the youth carnival at the Independence Square, where you have some musicians, and beyond that you have speeches in between to still talk about the issues that affect the youth. And so you realize that there are so many activities to talk to different groups of youth. So by the time we are done, you should have been touched or heard something or the other so far as youth development is concerned. And this is the first time we are having a National Youth Festival. I mean, hitherto what happened was that on the 12th of August, which is International Youth Day by the UN, there's just a conference and they talk, and that is just in one conference room with less than maybe 10,000 people. I don't know which conference room in Ghana can take. Maybe if the cathedral was done, we would have been able to the cathedral was supposed to take 10,000, right? Yeah, so if the cathedral were done, I'm sure we would have been able to accommodate 10,000 people in one auditorium. But since the cathedral is still at the swimming pool level, we would just have to engage the youth. But this will happen at the KNUSC Great Hall Auditorium. But I foresee next year we doing it in a sports stadium, because currently the number of people who are subscribing, we just cannot take everyone. So we want them to bear with us.
A packed program, if you ask me, and it is our hope and expectation that it goes down well with the Ghanaian youth, so at least we're able to address some of the ills in society. Away from your program, we've got some few minutes to check out. Let me come to your institution. I know the previous administration and your predecessors started the youth resource centers across the country. What is the update on it? Were they able to complete, a few, or how many were they able to complete, and what a general update on it?
Yes, thank you very much.
When I advertised that you were coming here, what was the message a texter wanted to find out?
Yes, every time we hear of National Youth Authority, the first question people ask is how far with our youth resource centers. That is true. That is an issue which is at the core of the heart of the National Youth Authority, and also at the heart of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has assured us that we would complete the 8 uncompleted youth resource centers, and in fact 6 more will be constructed at the new regions so that every region will have at least 1 youth resource center. So currently we are investigating most of the projects, auditing most of the projects, because some of them, the financial
there's financial issues with them.
The financial issues with them. So we are currently auditing most of them to see how we can. Some will either be continued, or some of the contractors will have their contracts terminated and re-awarded, or it will be re-evaluated, because at the time they started the construction, a bag of cement was about 30 cedis. Today, if you want them to go back and continue, a bag of cement, thanks to John Mama, has reduced from 130 to about 100 cedis. So at least there's even a reduction. But you realize that there will be some disparities that need to. So it's going through that process. So as and when we're done, we'll see whether those who will continue, those who will be re-awarded. Example, Yendi is about 85% completed. Yinehine is about 75% completed. Where our office resides in Accra is about 55% completed. So there's a lot of work to be done at the various youth resource centers. But His Excellency John Dramani Mahama once again has promised and assured us that these are centers that he'll make sure are fully reconstructed and managed properly.
Also, finally, before you go, you've been there for 7 months, as you said. We don't know how long you'll be there, but what mark or what legacy do you intend to leave behind as the CEO of the National Youth Authority, who left this particular legacy behind?
Yeah, I mean, for now, we have done so many things at the Youth Authority that if you're talking about legacy, what we may leave behind, I mean, people can attest to the fact that there's never been a youth festival to talk about issues that confront the youth. It's not just a festival for fun, but it's a festival for youth to come out and dialogue on issues that confront them. It has never happened before. I mean, the National Youth Authority has never implemented a flagship program such as the National Apprenticeship Program. Today we're doing it, and we're doing it very well, and we're doing it to the best of our abilities. I mean, of course, Red Means Top sits with the National Youth Authority in collaboration with the Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment. I mean, if you want to talk about also even structural development, our office complex is almost complete. I met it as an uncompleted building, but I promised myself that we need a befitting office and a youthful office, so that when people come, they know that this is the youth office and this is the youth center for total development of the youth. I mean, there's so many things we can talk about so far as the National Youth Authority is concerned. But even if I'm moved today out of the National Youth Authority, maybe God willing, promoted.
You'll be proud.
Promoted. I mean, the staff can say that, well, this is a CEO who was able to do A, B, C, D. For he didn't just come to work from 8 to 5 and pick his bag and go, but he was able to develop the authority for us, make it more attractive, make it more visible, make it more of an authority than just a working space. So at least we'll leave that to the Ghanaian people and to His Excellency, whom I thank so much for this opportunity to serve my nation and my youth as a capacity of the Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority.
Osman, thank you very much.
We're invited to Kumasi though.
I'll come, definitely. Just get me a hotel, I'll come.
No problem.
Osman Yaga, CEO of the National Youth Authority. My guest on Point